Welcome to the Cold War Prepper. My name is Lee. In my last video, we talked about folding knives, and I said that there's one that I love so much that I had two of them, one for my bug out bag and one for my get home bag. And that was the K-Bar Dozier model. Well, over the weekend, I watched a video by one of my favorite knife experts, and his name is John C. Anderson from Knife Center. And he was talking about budget knives, and his number one choice for a great budget knife was the K-Bar Dozier. So I'm going to put that link down below so you can see that maybe there's a valid reason why I love it so much, because it appears to be John C.'s favorite as well, especially within that price range. So for an under $25 in your pocket knife, that's just phenomenal. The K-Bar Dozier is the way you got to go. But today we're going to be focusing on fixed blades. So, of course, my dad was military. I was military, so we always moved a lot. And then after Dad retired, he became a civil servant. And he did the same thing in retirement that he did for the military. He just got paid more and didn't have to go into battle. So they moved a lot. I moved a lot. I had one knife, and I ended up having to get a replacement. But remember that I was in Boy Scouts in the 60s, and that's only a decade and a half after the end of World War II. So the most common knife available in the market at that time was the U.S. Marine Corps K-Bar fighting knife. So my first fixed blade, my first folding blade was a K-Bar. My first fixed blade was a K-Bar. Can you tell I love K-Bars? Okay, so this is the USMC fighting knife. This is a replacement because over the course of the last 40 years, my original one got lost, and then when Mom passed and I couldn't find it, I had to get a replacement. Haven't used this one yet, but I just wanted it because of nostalgia. I wanted it because it's what I used through Boy Scouts all the way up until the time I got into the military. So it is 1095 steel. The back is not a full 90-degree spine. It's kind of soft up here, so I wouldn't want to strike a fire steel with it. You might want to file that down, get a nice sharp edge in order to do a fire steel. It does have a clip point, so you notice this kind of curvature down here. It comes up to a point, and then it's got the blade. So this is considered a saber grind. You can see where the grind starts here. It goes down to a 20-degree bevel. This is 1095 steel, Rockwell hardness between 55 and 58, or 65, 68, 55, 58. So it's a great knife, full tang, leather handle. It's got an exposed pommel. This is great for pounding things. When I was in Boy Scouts, we even used it to crush nuts. So it was just a great pommel. We could use it to pound tent stakes. We could do all kinds of things. I wouldn't want to do that without the sheath on it, though. But that's what we did. Fantastic knife. This is still, in my opinion, one of the finest knives ever made. This is a great knife. It's going to cost you about $100, okay? But it's a great knife. If you want one that's going to be a good all-round utility knife that you're going to use for fighting, you're going to use for survival, you're going to use for bushcraft, I did it in the Boy Scouts for the entire time I was in Boy Scouts. So this is a great knife to have in your collection to start with. Then when I went to college in 1969, 1970, I sold Cutco cutlery. Well, I tried to sell Cutco cutlery. Never sold anything. But in the sales kit that you had to purchase, they had their version of a hunting fishing knife. So this one also has the blood groove in it. This is another clip point, so notice how it comes down and then back up to a tip. But the problem is this is CR70, 7CR17. This is a 7CR17 stainless steel knife, so it won't rust. It is a little bit difficult to sharpen, but take a look at this. If you can see, it's got a serrated edge. I don't like serrated edge knives, and I can't sharpen them. Supposedly I can send it off to the company and they would sharpen it. It's still fairly sharp. I mean, this is from 1969, 1970. So I want to say, and it's still got a sharpness on it. I used it to cut a cast off my wife's leg after a motorcycle ride. We were out in the Gila wilderness camping when the time came to take the cast off. So I took it off with this and broke a tooth. It is full tang. Got a pommel at the end. Great knife. I just don't like serrated edges. Kind of prejudiced that way. In 1972, when I was at Fort Meade, one of the guys got me into squirrel hunting, and then we also did a lot of fishing. So I needed a good hunting fishing knife. And like I said, I'd lost my K-Bar and hadn't replaced it yet. And I had that Cutco knife, so I replaced it by going to the PX and buying the Buck 131 model. This is about 1972. 1972. I was at Fort Meade. So the Buck 131 is 7CR17 as well, so it's a stainless steel. I would say that this is kind of a saber grind. You can see where it starts right here. If I can get that in there for you. And then it goes to a 20-degree bevel up here. It's another clip point and exposed pommel, full tang knife, great knife, loved it. Used it exclusively for all my hunting and fishing until, oh gosh, after I retired from the Army. I'm going to say probably the mid-90s. So this knife was my #1 used knife from 1972 until the mid-1990s. Absolutely love that knife. It's a great knife. I would still have it, but I just wanted to try something different. So the next knife I ordered was the Becker BK7. Now the Becker BK7 is 1095 steel. It's got a powder coating on it, so that unless you, and it'll come off if you abuse it enough. This is a saber grind. You can see this, the grind starts right here underneath where it says BK7, and then it goes down to the 20-degree bevel down here. It is a full tang. It's got an exposed pommel. Got a great handle. Absolutely great feel. It's well balanced. This is 0.188, I believe. Thickness, yeah, 0.188 thickness. 7-inch blade, 11 3/4 inches overall. We've got a modified clip point. Okay. So this can be used as a fighting knife. But I got to the point where I just don't like big knives anymore. I want something smaller. Now, it does come with a fantastic sheath. I love the sheath. More so than what I did with the one I bought to replace that. I bought the Becker BK2, which is supposedly smaller. And it is, and the handles are exactly the same. I think you can switch out the handles from the 2 to the 7. So it's the exact same handle. Great handle, exposed pommel, full tang, same kind of a saber grind. Starts here, goes up 20 degrees. It's got a drop point. Okay, so this is a beast. This is 1 pound. This one is just over 3/4 of a pound, so you can see the difference in the size. But take a look at the thickness as well. This is 0.188. This one is 1/4 of an inch thick. That's why it's so heavy. So you got more steel on this one than you do on the other one. It's heavier, heftier. Yeah, I am quite certain if you wanted to, you could use the pommel on this and break anything, to include cinder block. Gosh, but I wouldn't try that without the covered blade. What I don't like about this knife is the sheath. Okay, I've cut my finger trying to get this knife out of the sheath. Now listen to it click. Once it goes in, it's in there. It's got a thumb grip here where you're supposed to be able to just push on it and get the knife out, but I can't do it. Okay, so it takes 2 hands to get this knife out of the sheath. And in a survival situation, I want a sheath and I want a knife where it retains it so it doesn't fall out, but it's also easy to pull out. So I would go with this lock here and the nylon sheath for the BK7 over the BK2. The BK2, everything's the same as the BK7, as far as 1095 steel and all that kinds of stuff, except I think that's just a straight flat grind. So I wanted something a little bit different. So then I looked into the SE6. Now the SE6 kind of has the same problem with the handle that I have with the BK2. So this is the SE6, 1095 steel. Once again, same thing. Now we're starting to get into a little bit more of a good back where you can strike a ferrocerium rod. It's got a drop point. I would call this a flat grind. Okay, you don't see any kind of a chamfering on the blade here, so it just goes down to that one cut, and oh man, is it sharp. It's got the exposed pommel, it's got full tang, it's full weight all the way, it's 0.188 inches thick. All of these are Rockwell between 55 and 57, which is very good for that's the hardness for a survival knife. Let me see. This is 9 inches overall, 4.5 inch blade. I'm sorry, the SE6. 5 3/4 inch blade, I think. But anyhow, great knife. Now, what I don't like about it is, like I said, I'm getting to the point where I prefer to have smaller knives. If it weren't for the fact that I have so many knives, I would probably order an SE4 and say I'd probably replace this with the 4 just because I want a smaller knife. But if you're looking for a survival knife, the SE6 is right at $150, 5 3/4 inch blade, which is why they call it a 6. Let me see. Overall length is 11 3/4 inches. Flat grind, drop point. Yeah, that's it. So the 4, on the other hand, is about 2 inches shorter than that one. So that might do me some good. So I would say any of those. I would probably still go with my K-Bar for under $100 for a survival knife. That would be my first choice. Probably go with the BK7 only because it's easier to get out of the sheath, then the SE6, then the BK2. I love the BK2 knife. I just want to be able to get it out of the sheath. So now let's go into bushcraft knives. My favorite all-time bushcraft knife. You can see this one's been loved and abused and used, and oh gosh, when I go camping, this is what I want in my bag. This is only just a little bit over a 4-inch blade. Look at that. You can control it. You can whittle. You can make good feather sticks. It's got great grip, great control. I absolutely love this knife. So let's get into the specs. So the LT Wright is $236. It's 9 inches overall length with a 4 1/4 inch blade. It's 0.188 inches thick. This is A2 tool steel, which is even harder than 1095, but it's very polished, very good. I keep oil on it so it doesn't rust. It's got a real nice 90-degree sharp spine, so you can easily strike a ferrocerium rod. The only other one, now the Esee does the same thing. They'll give you a nice sharp edge on the rear so you can strike a ferrocerium rod with it. Love this handle. It's a broom handle, but just love it. Once you get your thumb on that jimping, or there isn't any jimping, but on the back of the spine of the blade, you've got great control. Just love it. It's also got the finger choils here, so just great knife. My favorite knife of all of the ones I own. This is my love. Now, I'm not going to put that in a sheath because I want to show you something else. If you don't want to spend $236 for an LT Wright Genesis, this is my go-to knife for around the house. I keep this in the kitchen. This is if there's something that calls for using a knife around the house, this is the knife I'm going to go with. And this is from El Salvador, and it's Condor knives. And this is called the Condor Bushlore. So if you take a look at it, it's 1095 steel. It's got a sharp 90-degree angle, full tang, good pommel. The handle is a little bit more curved than the LT Wright. It is a Scandi grind, just like the LT Wright. Take a look at this, okay? Tell me the difference between the two knives, except for the fact that one costs $236 and it's very high quality, A2 steel, and the other's 1095 steel and mass produced, okay? Almost the exact same knife. So if you want to save yourself some money, then go with the Condor Bushlore. Right now it's around $70, I'm going to say. But this is my go-to knife around the house. But I'll tell you what, even for the money, this is what I'm going to, if my life depends on it, I'm taking this knife. This is the one that I love to take with me out into the field. So this one, the LT Wright Genesis comes with a ferrocerium rod. It's got a great leather sheath. You can either put it on your belt loop or you can put it on the dangler. I prefer the dangler. And then it's got a ferrocerium rod and a compass on it. The Condor does not, so you don't get that on your Condor knife. Now, the last one is, if, like the Condor, if you're looking for a good knife at a value price, something that you would not be ashamed to have in your bag. This is what my wife has in hers. So it comes with a ferrocerium rod, which tells you it's going to have a 90-degree sharp angle on the back. It's got a diamond sharpener on it, so you can hone it while you're out in the field. And this is from a Norwegian, I believe it's Norwegian, might be Swedish, company Mora Knives, M-O-R-A-K-N-I-V, Mora Knife. And this is the Mora Bushcraft Black, or it's also called the Survival Black. But it's a drop point, and it's got a Scandi grind, just like the Condor, just like the LT Wright. This is 1095 steel, once again, just like the Condor. It's got a rubber handle, full tang. Now, Mora Knives only makes 2 knives with a full tang. Most of theirs are rat tail knives. You can get the rat tail knife, and I would be happy to have any of their knives in my bag at any time, even the $20 companion. But this one is a full tang knife with a rubber handle. It's got an exposed pommel. This is just a great knife to have in your bag. So this is going to be about $65, $70. So either one of these two, if you're looking for a budget knife to get in your bag that you would be happy to have, that's going to help you through whatever you need to go through, either the Condor Bush Lore or the Morik Knives Bushcraft Black. So those are the two for the more inexpensive introduction into knives. So I hope that helps y'all with some of making a decision on if you need a decision on what you want to do. If you have a favorite knife, list it below. Let me know. I'm not going to buy any more, but I also will have the links for these knives down below. I'm also going to have the link for that video by John C. Anderson. I'll put another link for the Dozier in there as well. So this is Lee. And remember, we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Take care, stay safe, and keep your head down. Bye-bye.